Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins HD, Treasure Hunters and Coin Collectors. Whether you're new to the hobby or a seasoned expert, this video might just send you racing to check your piggy bank or old coin jars, because today we're diving into the story of a tiny coin that once went unnoticed, but is now turning heads in the world of numismatics. We're talking about the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that's been quietly sitting in drawers, pockets, and penny rolls for over 70 years. And now, one rare version of this humble 1-cent piece has been sold for an eye-popping amount that you would never expect from a penny. So stay with us to the very end, because this story isn't just about copper and metal, it's about history, mystery, and a stroke of luck that could one day happen to you. Let's rewind the clock. The year was 1952. The United States was in the midst of post-war growth. The baby boom was in full swing, televisions were becoming a household staple, and the average price of gas was 20 cents per gallon. And in the background of all this change, millions of Lincoln Wheat pennies were being struck and released into circulation. Now, let's talk about the design, familiar, yet deeply meaningful. On the obverse of the 1952 penny, we see the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, America's 16th president, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. This design has stood the test of time since 1909, and right above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust," while "Liberty" sits proudly to the left and the date, 1952, on the right. Below the date, depending on where it was struck, you'll find a small but important mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. Now flip the coin, and you'll see the reverse side featuring two wheat ears hugging the words, 1 cent, hence the nickname Wheat Penny. Above that, E pluribus unum, and beneath it all, the phrase, United States of America. Simple, right? Just a 1-cent coin. So what's the big deal? Well, here's where things get really exciting. Though over 1 billion Lincoln Wheat pennies were minted in 1952, not all of them were created equal. The vast majority are common. But hidden among those billions are a select few with extremely rare characteristics, and these are the coins that are shaking up the collector's market today. So what makes one 1952 penny worth just 1 cent, and another worth $70,000? Let's break it down. Point 1. Mint marks and mintage numbers. The three mint facilities played a key role in determining rarity. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark struck over 186 million. Denver Mint, D. Mint mark struck over 746 million. San Francisco Mint, S. Mint mark struck around 137 million. While Denver struck the most, and San Francisco the least, the mint mark alone doesn't determine the full value. What matters most is condition, rarity, and whether your coin contains rare errors or anomalies. Point 2. Grading and condition. Professional coin grading plays a massive role in a coin's value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin, flawless in every detail. Most 1952 wheat pennies have long been circulated. They've got scratches, wear, and dull luster. These are worth just a few cents, but if your coin somehow survived for decades untouched, with full original mint luster, sharp strike, and no signs of wear, and it gets graded as MS66, MS67, or even MS68, that's when the serious money starts rolling in. Point 3. The power of red coloration. Here's a secret many beginner collectors don't know. Lincoln Wheat pennies were made of 95% copper, and copper changes color over time. As it oxidizes, it turns brown, but if your 1952 penny still retains its original red color, meaning it was stored in perfect, airtight conditions, that dramatically increases its value. These are designated RD, red, by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Coins graded MS67 RD or higher are incredibly rare from 1952, and they are highly sought after. Point 4. Rare error coins. Sometimes, during the minting process, mistakes happen, and they result in valuable errors. Here are a few that might show up on 1952 Lincoln Wheat pennies. Double die obverse, DDO, where parts of the design, like Liberty or the date, appear doubled. Off-center strikes, when the coin was not properly centered during minting. Repunched mint marks, RPM, especially visible in the D or S mint marks when they were hand-punched. Die cracks, cuds, or die chips. Signs of wear and tear on the dies that make for interesting and collectible features. A rare mint error combined with a high grade can result in a coin worth thousands of dollars. And now, let's talk about the star of the story. Point 1. 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with a Denver mint mark, was discovered in a private collection. This coin was stunning. It had absolutely zero wear, sharp, clean strike, brilliant red color, no spotting or toning, and it was graded MS68RD by PCGS. One of the highest known for this year and mint. This penny turned out to be one of the finest known examples in existence. When it went to auction, collectors knew they were witnessing something special. Bidding began. Offers poured in. The final hammer price, that single 1-cent coin, sold for a jaw-dropping $70,000. Yes, $70,000 US. That's the price of a luxury car, or a full college education, or even a small home in some areas. And it all came from a penny that many people would overlook. So here's what you should do right now: go grab your coin jar, look specifically for 1952 wheat pennies, especially with D or S mint marks, check for clean, strong details, especially on Lincoln's coat and the wheat stalks, inspect the color, does it look shiny and reddish like it was freshly minted, and if you spot anything unusual, a doubled letter, an off-center strike, a strange mark, that's even better, consider sending your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and certification. You could be holding a treasure and not even know it. Today's video is about something incredibly special, a tiny copper coin that might just make you look twice at your old change jar. We're going deep into the fascinating story of the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1957, a coin that has surprised collectors time and again, not just for its beauty and history, but for its hidden value. Now, don't be fooled by its small size or its face value. This coin is more than just 1 cent, it's a piece of American heritage. And believe it or not, one of these little pennies could be worth a life-changing amount of money. So stay with me to the end, because you do not want to miss the value reveal. Let's begin our journey back in time, to the late 1950s. America in 1957 was a place of optimism. Rock and roll was booming, cars were getting sleeker, families were growing, and television sets had become the centerpiece of every living room. The Cold War was in full swing, but so was innovation and prosperity. And quietly, amid all that change, the United States Mint was continuing to produce a humble yet powerful coin, the Lincoln Wheat Penny. This penny wasn't just spare change, it was a symbol of the working-class American, of honest labor, and national pride. It had already been in circulation for nearly 50 years by that point, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was the very first U.S. coin to feature the face of a real person, and who better than Honest Abe himself? The 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny was one of the final years in the legendary Wheat Reverse series. After 1958, the reverse design changed forever. So the 1957 issue holds a special place in the heart of every coin enthusiast. It's part of a legacy, one foot in history, and one in the collector's world. Now let's talk about design and detail. The obverse, the front, of the coin proudly displays a right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. His image is sharply detailed, especially in uncirculated examples, with strong cheekbones, a furrowed brow, and the signature bow tie. Above his head, the timeless words, "In God We Trust." To his left, Liberty. And to the right, the date, 1957. But here's where things get even more interesting. Depending on the coin, you might see a tiny mint mark right beneath the date, that little letter, either a D for Denver or no mark at all, which indicates Philadelphia, isn't just a detail. For collectors, that mint mark can completely change the value of a coin. And trust me, some 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies with a mint mark are in seriously high demand. Flip the coin over and you'll find the simple but beautiful wheat ear reverse design. Two curved stalks of wheat stand proudly on either side, framing the bold words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Just above that, E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. It's a motto that still resonates today, and one that captures the spirit of a united nation. Now, here's where it gets really exciting for collectors and enthusiasts. You might be thinking, there must be millions of these coins out there. And you'd be right. The U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln wheat pennies in 1957 alone. But here's the twist: not all of them are created equal. Many of those coins went through circulation. They were handed over for groceries, passed at diners, flipped into jukeboxes, lost under car seats, dropped in piggy banks, and forgotten. Most of them are scratched, worn, and dull today, but a select few survived in nearly flawless condition. And those are the ones that make collectors' eyes light up. We're talking about coins that were never circulated, called uncirculated or mint state coins. These were preserved carefully in rolls, coin albums, or sealed containers, protected from the fingerprints of time, and it gets even better. Some of these coins have errors, rare mistakes that occurred during the minting process. Double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other anomalies can turn an ordinary penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible. These error coins are incredibly rare, and because each mistake is slightly different, collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. So what should you look for? A 1957 Lincoln wheat penny in brilliant uncirculated condition, especially with a clear and sharp mint mark, is a solid find. But if your penny also has a visible error, such as a double die on the date or lettering, it becomes an extremely rare treasure. Combine rarity with pristine condition, and the value skyrockets. You might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. Collectors and auction houses across the country are constantly on the lookout for these coins. They're graded on a scale by services like PCGS or NGC, and a high-grade example with unique features can spark bidding wars. These aren't just pennies, they're history, art, and investment rolled into one tiny copper disc. You'd be amazed at how many people have found valuable coins hiding in old jars, inherited collections, or flea market finds. It happens more often than you think, and every time, it proves just how exciting coin collecting can be. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the value. If you have a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, in perfect uncirculated condition, possibly with a rare minting error or strong strike, its value in the collector market can reach an astonishing $68,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $68,000 US, from a coin that most people would overlook or toss into a coin jar. That's the incredible world of rare coins. Sometimes, what looks ordinary turns out to be extraordinary. And in this case, one little Lincoln cent could make a huge difference in someone's life. So what are you waiting for? Go check your old coin collection. Ask your grandparents if they saved any wheat pennies. Look inside old piggy banks, coin rolls, and dusty drawers. You never know, you might just find that perfect 1957 Lincoln wheat penny and join the growing list of lucky coin hunters who turned pocket change into a small fortune. Today, we're going deep into the rich, mysterious, and surprisingly valuable world of a coin that millions have overlooked, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1948. This is more than just a small copper disc. It's a piece of American history, a collector's gem, and for some lucky individuals, it's a hidden treasure worth far more than its tiny face value. You won't believe how much this coin could be worth today. So stick with us, because what starts as a penny could end in a payout worth thousands. And yes, we'll tell you exactly how much, but only at the very end. Let's begin our journey back in time, to the post-war era of 1948. The year was a turning point for the United States. World War II had ended just 3 years earlier, and the nation was rebuilding, growing, and redefining its future. Factories were shifting from wartime production to consumer goods. The baby boom was in full swing. Families were buying homes, television sets, and cars. America was hopeful, energetic, and full of optimism, and right in the middle of this energetic new era, the U.S. Mint quietly continued its work, striking coins for everyday use. One of the most common, and yet most iconic, was the Lincoln wheat penny. This was no ordinary coin. First introduced in 1909, the Lincoln wheat penny was designed to honor the legacy of one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history, Abraham Lincoln. And what made it unique was that it was the very first time a real historical figure, let alone a president, appeared on a regular issue U.S. coin. The 1948 Lincoln wheat penny continued this proud tradition. But beneath its surface lies a story of design, symbolism, minting variations, and incredible collector value. Let's look at the design first. On the obverse, the front, you'll find a dignified right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. His profile is calm and strong, a symbol of leadership during troubled times. Above him, the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty." And on the right side, the year 1948, paired with a small but important detail, a mint mark. That tiny letter, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, is easy to miss but plays a huge role in determining the coin's origin and, ultimately, its value. Now flip the coin over to the reverse, and you'll be greeted with the classic and beloved wheat ears design. Two stalks of wheat curve inward from the edges, cradling the bold words, 1 cent and United States of America. Above that, you'll find the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one, a perfect representation of America's unity through diversity. This reverse design, simple yet elegant, ran from 1909 until 1958. The 1948 wheat penny sits right in the middle of this iconic series, making it one of the classics among U.S. coinage. But let's get to what truly sets this coin apart, its rarity and collector appeal. Although the U.S. Mint produced millions of these pennies, the majority were used in everyday life. They went through pockets, purses, vending machines, and cash registers. They bought newspapers, candy bars, and soda bottles. Over time, most of them became scratched, worn, and tarnished. That's the nature of currency meant for circulation, but some coins escaped that fate. A small number of 1948 Lincoln wheat pennies were carefully preserved, stored in rolls, hidden in collections, forgotten in drawers, or discovered in old estate sales. And when these coins are found in uncirculated or mint state condition, their value can skyrocket. But that's not all. Some of these coins were struck with minting errors, accidental imperfections created during the coin's production at the mint. These errors can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or even planchet flaws. And for collectors? These errors are golden. Why? Because mint errors make the coin unique. No two are exactly alike. They're rare, eye-catching, and incredibly desirable. A perfect storm of age, condition, and error can transform an old penny into something truly extraordinary. Let's talk about the mint marks a little more. In 1948, the penny was produced at 3 major U.S. mints: Philadelphia Mint, No Mint Mark Denver Mint, D. Mint Mark San Francisco Mint, S. Mint Mark. Coins from each mint have different production numbers and qualities. Some believe the Denver minted coins had the strongest strikes, while San Francisco coins often saw smaller mintage runs, increasing their rarity. Now imagine this: you find a 1948 Lincoln wheat penny with a bold S or D mint mark, in pristine, mint state condition, untouched by circulation, or maybe, just maybe, with a double die on the date, or a misaligned strike that makes the coin visibly unique. This is the kind of penny that collectors dream about. The kind that makes headlines in auctions and leaves dealers stunned. People often ask, is it really possible that a single penny could be worth thousands of dollars? The answer is, yes. Absolutely, and you'd be surprised how many people overlook these valuable coins sitting right under their noses. Some have found them in old coin jars, inherited from grandparents, discovered at flea markets or garage sales. Some were even given as pocket change decades ago, and today, they're worth far more than anyone could have guessed. Which brings us to the most important question of all: what is the 1948 Lincoln wheat penny really worth? Well, if you have a regular 1948 wheat penny that's been circulated and shows signs of wear, it might be worth just a few cents. But if your coin is in uncirculated condition, with all the fine details still crisp and sharp, no scratches, no wear, no tarnish, then you've got something special. Now add a mint mark, say, a clear, bold D or S from Denver or San Francisco, and the value climbs even higher. And if your coin also has a rare error, like a double die, repunched mint mark, or an unusual planchet flaw, then hold on to it tight. Because that little penny might be worth $78,000, yes, you heard that right. $78,000 from a single, well-preserved, rare variant of a 1948 Lincoln wheat penny. That's the incredible truth about coin collecting. It's not just about old metal. It's about history, craftsmanship, rarity, and the thrill of discovering value in the most unexpected places. So don't underestimate the change in your drawer, or the pennies passed down from your grandparents. One of them might just be the next big discovery. Today, we're going to dive into a truly fascinating piece of American numismatic history, the 1956 United States Lincoln Wheat penny with mint mark. This is not just an ordinary penny. It's a small coin with a massive story. A coin that has passed through countless hands since the 1950s, and yet, a few rare examples of it are now worth a stunning fortune. Stick with me till the very end of this video, because the value of this little copper piece will absolutely blow your mind. Now let's travel back in time, to 1956. It was a golden time in America. The country was booming after World War II. Elvis Presley was taking over the radio, cars were sleek and chrome-heavy, and families were settling into the classic American dream. Suburbs were expanding, televisions were becoming a household norm, and kids played outside until the streetlights came on, and in the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing millions of pennies, coins that would be used to buy bubble gum, comic books, newspapers, and maybe even pay the milkman. Among these everyday coins was the 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin that might look plain at first glance, but carries incredible value for those who know what to look for. Let's break it down, starting with the design. The obverse of the 1956 Lincoln penny proudly features the side profile of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, was first introduced in 1909 and became the first U.S. coin to bear the image of a real historical figure. On the left side of Lincoln's portrait is the word Liberty. Just above him, the national motto, "In God We Trust." And to the right, you'll find the year 1956, with a tiny, but important, detail beneath it, the mint mark. This mint mark tells us where the coin was made. In the case of 1956, the coins were produced in Philadelphia and Denver. If your coin has a small letter D just below the date, that means it was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. While both versions can hold value, collectors often pay close attention to coins from Denver, especially those with striking clarity and strong details. Now flip the coin over to admire the reverse design, also created by Brenner. You'll see two gracefully arched stalks of wheat, one on each side of the coin, enclosing the bold words, 1 cent, United States of America, and above all that, you'll find the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This wheat reverse was used from 1909 until 1958, after which the design changed to the now familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse. That makes the 1956 wheat penny one of the last few years of this iconic design, adding even more value for collectors seeking to complete a wheat penny series. Now, let's get into what really matters to coin hunters and collectors: condition, rarity, and hidden features. You see, in 1956, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies. That's right, over 1.1 billion from Denver alone. So you might be asking, why would this coin be valuable if there are so many out there? The answer lies in the details. The vast majority of these coins were heavily circulated. They were used, abused, and tossed around in pockets, purses, and cash registers. Most are scratched, dull, or corroded by now. But a tiny percentage of these pennies were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, set aside by collectors, forgotten in mint rolls, or carefully stored in albums. Coins that remain in mint state condition today, especially those graded MS-65 and above by professional services like PCGS or NGC, are already valuable. But wait, there's more. Some 1956 wheat pennies were minted with errors, and these are the true jackpot finds for collectors. Minting errors are accidental variations that occurred during production, making each error coin unique. These could include double die obverse, DDO, where the design appears doubled, especially on the date or lettering; repunched mint marks, RPM, where the D mint mark was stamped more than once; slightly misaligned off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing due to a misalignment; BE errors, where a small die break appears between the B and E of Liberty, forming what looks like an extra letter. These mint errors were never meant to happen, but when they did, they Accidentally created coins that are much rarer and more desirable than the standard versions. Collectors absolutely love error coins, because they are the oddballs that tell a story, proof that even the US Mint isn't perfect. The rarer and clearer the error, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. Now, let's talk about grading. Coin value isn't just about rarity. It's also about condition. Grading is the process of rating a coin's condition on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless specimen. A 1956 wheat penny graded MS-67 or MS-68, especially with a visible error and sharp strike, could command an astonishing price at auction, and believe it or not, there are real stories of ordinary people discovering these valuable coins tucked away in old collections or passed down from grandparents. That's why it's always worth checking your change, inspecting your old coin jars, or even visiting estate sales with an eye for detail, because you never know, you could stumble upon a treasure hiding in plain sight. Now, for the part you've been waiting for. If you're lucky enough to own a 1956 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition, possibly with a rare minting error or unique die feature, then you might just be holding a coin that's worth a jaw. Dropping $72,000, yes, you heard it right. $72,000 for a single 1-cent coin from 1956. That's the magic of coin collecting. Sometimes the smallest, most forgotten pieces of our past end up being the most valuable. What once bought a piece of candy might now buy a car, or even a small house. So check your coin boxes. Ask your parents or grandparents. Look through those old jars filled with pennies. Because the next great discovery could be sitting right there, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to uncover it. Today, we're diving into a penny that might seem small at first glance, but don't be fooled. This coin could turn out to be one of the most valuable pieces in your entire collection. We're talking about a true American classic, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1954 with mint mark. This humble copper coin might be hiding right in your coin jar, tucked away in an old box, or resting quietly in a forgotten collection, but it holds a story far greater than its 1-cent label suggests. And if you're lucky enough to spot the right details, you might just discover that what once bought a piece of candy could now buy something far, far bigger. Make sure you stay with me until the end, because we'll reveal the shocking value that a rare version of this penny can reach today, and trust me, you will not want to miss that part. Let's start by stepping back in time to the world of 1954. The year was a pivotal moment in American history. The Korean War had just ended a year earlier, and the country was moving full speed into the golden age of the 1950s. The economy was booming. Television was beginning to dominate American homes. Elvis Presley was on the rise. And President Dwight D. Eisenhower was leading the nation with strength and vision. But while the world was rapidly modernizing, the U.S. Mint continued its quiet tradition, striking billions of coins for everyday use. Among those coins was one of the most iconic and enduring designs in all of American coinage, the Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation since 1909, created to honor the 100th birthday of one of America's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln. And in 1954, the wheat penny still proudly carried the design that millions of Americans had come to recognize and respect. Let's take a moment to admire the details of this historic coin. On the obverse side, the front, you'll find the side profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His face is detailed and solemn, a tribute to the man who preserved the Union and abolished slavery. Above his head reads, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty," and to the right, the year 1954, followed by a small mint mark, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. That tiny letter, the mint mark, might seem like a minor detail, but for collectors, it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. It tells us where the coin was struck, and it plays a major role in determining how rare and valuable that specific coin might be. Turn the coin over to the reverse, and you'll see the classic wheat ears design. Two graceful stalks of wheat curve around the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above that, the timeless Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This design is pure Americana, simple, elegant, and deeply symbolic, but what makes the 1954 wheat penny particularly exciting isn't just its history or design. It's the hidden potential for value. especially when we start talking about condition, rarity, and errors. Let's start with condition. Most of the 1954 pennies were used as regular pocket change. They were passed from hand to hand, jingled in pockets, dropped in store tills, and eventually tossed into piggy banks or old tins. Over time, they developed wear, scratches, fading, and damage. These are what collectors call circulated coins, but a small number of these coins, very small, were preserved in brilliant, uncirculated condition. These are the coins that were never touched by human hands. They stayed in original mint rolls, sat untouched in collections, or were carefully stored away by early collectors. And those coins? They're the ones that get serious attention from collectors today. Now, let's talk about mint errors. One of the most exciting parts of coin collecting, the 1954 wheat penny is known to have several minting errors that make them especially rare. These errors can occur due to equipment malfunctions, misalignment, or simple human error during the production process at the mint. Some of the known and valuable error types include double die obverse, DDO, where letters or numbers appear to be doubled, often noticeable in the date or the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Repunched mint marks, RPM, where the D or S was stamped more than once, slightly off-center, creating a shadow effect. Off-center strikes, where the design isn't properly centered, cutting off part of the image. BE errors, where a tiny raised line appears between the B and E in Liberty due to a die crack. These small variations, though accidental, can drastically increase a coin's value, especially if the coin is in mint state condition. Why? Because error coins are unique. No two are ever exactly the same, and that kind of uniqueness in the coin world translates to demand, rarity, and big bucks. Let's not forget about grading. Coins are evaluated on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. Coins graded MS65 or higher are highly desirable. Add an error to the mix, and collectors go wild. Now, here's a fun fact. Many people have found valuable 1954 wheat pennies completely by accident. Some discovered them in old penny jars. Others received them in change without realizing their worth. And a few lucky individuals inherited them from grandparents or relatives who unknowingly passed down a tiny copper fortune. So now the question becomes, what is your 1954 Lincoln wheat penny worth? If you have a 1954 penny that's heavily circulated, scratched, or damaged, it might be worth a few cents to $1, depending on demand. Still a cool piece of history, but if your 1954 penny has a visible mint mark, like the D or S, and it's in brilliant uncirculated condition, with rich copper color and full original luster, that's a whole different story. And if your coin also has a rare mint error, like a double die or repunched mint mark, now we're entering the realm of serious collector territory, because believe it or not, a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny in perfect mint state condition, with a strong mint mark and a verified error, can sell for as much as $71,000. Yes, you heard that right. $71,000 for a coin that most people would overlook as just a penny. That's the thrill of coin collecting. You never know what you might find. Every penny has a story, and some of those stories are worth far more than anyone ever expected. So what should you do next? Go check your coin collections. Dig through that old jar of change. Ask your parents or grandparents if they've got a tin of coins hiding somewhere in a drawer. Look for that 1954 date, that tiny mint mark, and signs of an error. You might just be holding a piece of American history, and a small fortune in the palm of your hand. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another incredible coin discovery. We've got more rare finds, collector secrets, and hidden treasures coming your way. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, the next penny you find might be worth way more than 1 cent. Until next time, happy collecting.